Close your eyes and try to imagine the Earth roughly 12,000 years ago. The air is crisp, the landscape a sprawling mosaic of grasslands and encroaching ice, and the stakes for survival are higher than a modern skyscraper. In this world, you don't just worry about finding food, you worry about becoming food. For something that looks like it was designed by a blacksmith with a grudge, we are talking about Smilodon, the legendary saber-toothed tiger. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's clear the air. Smilodon wasn't actually a tiger, wasn't even closely related to the orange and black cats of today. It was something entirely different. A muscular, short-tailed, heavyweight brawler that traded speed for the raw power of a Greco-Roman wrestler. This is the biography of the sword-tooth, a creature that turned a massive evolutionary gamble into one of the most terrifying success stories of the Ice Age. The story of a Smilodon begins, not in isolation, but in the heart of a family. Unlike many modern cats, evidence suggests Smilodon was a social creature. Thousands of skeletons show horrific, healed injuries, broken hips, crushed ribs, massive infections. The wild a cat with a broken leg is a dead cat. Their survival proves their pride was bringing them food and protecting them. Our Smilodon cub is born into a supportive, albeit violent, community. At birth, a Smilodon cub looks similar to a modern lion cub, with slightly thicker front paws. Born blind and helpless, tucked away in a den, guarded fiercely by the mother. Even in these early weeks, the biological blueprint for a tank was already being laid down. As the cub grows, we see divergence from the typical cat path. While a young leopard practices high-speed chases, the young Smilodon is all about the gym. Built from the ground up to be heavy, showing massive shoulder development by their teenage years. But there was a problem: the teeth. A teenage Smilodon didn't have those iconic daggers yet. They had a double-fanged phase, keeping milk-toothed canines while permanent sabers erupted alongside. For months, the teenager had 4 upper canine teeth at once, like feline braces, only more lethal. This slow development meant dependence on the pack, waiting for specialized weaponry to finish printing. Once those sabers locked into place and the milk teeth fell out, the Smilodon entered its prime. Let's look at the specs of this biological machine, specifically the Smilodon populator, the largest of the 3 species. This beast could weigh up to 880 pounds, nearly 400 kilograms. It stood about 3 to 4 feet at the shoulder, but it wasn't tall and lanky. It was compact. It had a short bob tail because it didn't need a long tail for balance during high-speed turns. Why? Because Smilodon didn't chase. It was an ambush predator. Its forelimbs were so powerful that they were closer in structure to a bear's limbs than a cat's. This was the secret to its success. It didn't just bite its prey, it wrestled it into submission. Imagine a Smilodon stalking a juvenile mammoth or a giant ground sloth. It would wait in the tall grass, its dappled coat providing perfect camouflage. When the moment was right, it wouldn't launch into a mile-long sprint. It would lunge. With those massive bodybuilder-style front legs, it would grab the prey and literally pin it to the ground. This pinning was crucial because of the sabers themselves. Despite looking like indestructible swords, those 7-inch teeth were actually quite brittle. If a Smilodon tried to bite a struggling, thrashing animal, the lateral force could snap the teeth right off. To avoid this, the Smilodon used its incredible upper body strength to immobilize the prey first. Only when the victim was pinned and motionless would the king of the Ice Age deliver the Canine Shear-Bite. This bite is one of the most misunderstood mechanics in nature. For a long time, people thought Smilodon had a weak bite, and they were technically right. But Smilodon didn't rely on jaw strength. It used its neck. It would open its mouth to a staggering 120-degree angle, what a modern cat can manage, and then use its massive rope-like neck muscles to drive those sabers downward into the soft throat of the prey. It wasn't a crunch, it was a surgical strike. It would sever the jugular vein in the windpipe in one clean motion. The prey would die of blood loss and suffocation in seconds. This was a precision kill strategy, allowing the Smilodon to take down animals much larger than itself, without risking a long, drawn-out fight that could damage its precious teeth. However, the very thing that made the Smilodon a god among predators was also its Achilles heel. It was too specialized. It was a heavyweight champion in a world where the rules were about to change. Around 10,000 years ago, the Ice Age began to fade. The lush grasslands and forests that provided cover for ambush hunters began to thin out. More importantly, the mega-herbivores, the mammoths, the giant sloths, and the ancient horses began to vanish. This was likely due to a combination of climate change and the arrival of a new two-legged predator, with spears and a high IQ, humans. As the big, slow-moving targets disappeared, they were replaced by smaller, faster animals like modern deer and pronghorn. The Smilodon was now in trouble. You can't ambush a deer in an open field if you're built like a refrigerator. A Smilodon trying to hunt a nimble deer is like a professional powerlifter trying to catch a squirrel. It's just not going to happen. They were burning more calories trying to hunt than they were getting from the meat. At the same time, they faced competition from more versatile predators like the American lion and the gray wolf, which were better at long-distance chasing and group persistence hunting. The Saber-Toothed found itself with a set of incredibly expensive high-maintenance tools, and nothing left to use them on. So, where did they go? Did they evolve into the cats we have today? Unfortunately, the answer is a firm no. Smilodon belonged to a subfamily called Mechaerodontidae, which is entirely extinct. They left no direct descendants. They were an evolutionary branch that grew into a massive, terrifying sword, and then snapped. Today, the closest thing we have to the saber-toothed lifestyle is the clouded leopard, which has the longest canine teeth relative to its body size of any living cat, but it's a very distant cousin at best. When the last Smilodon took its final breath in the plains of South America, a specific kind of majestic brutality vanished from our world forever. We look back at the Smilodon not just because it had cool teeth, but because it represents a perfect design for a specific moment in time. It was a creature that proved you don't have to be the fastest if you are the strongest. It proved that a social group could keep a crippled member alive in a world of ice and stone. And ultimately, it serves as a warning. No matter how sharp your teeth are, if you can't adapt to a changing world, the world will leave you behind. The Smilodon didn't lose because it was weak. It lost because the world became too fast for its heavy, powerful heart. It was a king without a kingdom, a warrior without a war. Long live the memory of the Smilodon, the original heavyweight champion of the natural world.